Welcome back. Blurred vision, nausea, dizziness, these are all common side effects of certain medications, and we are so glad those warnings are listed on our medicine bottles. And of course, that's thanks to the thousands of people who volunteer for clinical drug trials. One locally owned and rapidly growing company is looking for people like you to help. Joining us now to explain are Dr. Robert Jeanfreau and Dr. Corey Hebert with MedPharmics. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So you consider volunteers to be medical heroes. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, it's a very simple reason. As you just mentioned, all of the medicines that all the things that we know about medicines come from the research that we do.
Right.
And so, we won't have any medicines in the pharmacy without the research that's done. And people volunteer to do that. And so they are heroes because from the work they do, many people benefit.
Right. So tell me, what policies are in place to ensure the safety of volunteers, though?
So safety is the primary objective in doing research. A lot of people, to answer that question, you really have to have a good idea of what the research process involves.
Okay.
So research starts in a lab with scientists looking at a variety of different molecules. Only a very few of those ever make it out of that lab into what we call preclinical trials, which is really animal studies. And so the animal studies get done, and only a very few of those compounds make it to human trials. So and that sometimes takes 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So the drugs or compounds that end up being in clinical trials is a very small percentage of the ones you start with. That's one thing. So a sponsor, the pharmaceutical company that's developing the drug, goes to the FDA and says, look, we think we have a good compound and we want to start human trials. So the FDA looks at things very carefully, and if it's approved, then they come to a place like us where we do the research.
So there are multiple steps.
Many steps. As a principal investigator, like Dr. Hebert and I are, we look at the investigational brochure, which is all the information known about a compound, and we look at that very carefully. And if it doesn't look good to us, we don't take the study.
Not worth the risk.
Not worth the risk.
And there are a lot of people out there that have heard about clinical trials before, and they just don't know that these things are readily available. And not only are they something that people should do because they are heroes, but it's something that if they don't do, the medicine will not end up on the shelves. There's a very strict process that has to go through for people to be able to be in a clinical trial, and they are very safe. And I think that's one of the things that people think about, and they're like, oh, I don't want to be a guinea pig, for these types of things. But this is not like that at all. This is almost your responsibility as someone in this community to be a part of a clinical trial, because that allows the medicines to be able to be experimented, as well as you will be protected as a subject in a trial. And that is something that should make everyone feel good, because we all benefit from that.
Sure.
We all do.
And so you mentioned briefly that, I'm sure these volunteers go through a vigorous period to just see how their personal health is, to see if they even qualify to become a volunteer.
Right.
Is that accurate?
That is a very important part of it. That's called eligibility criteria. So not everybody that comes in is going to be eligible for a given trial. If they have certain diseases, they're not going to be eligible. So yes, that's an important component of ensuring the safety of volunteers. They meet the criteria for being in the study.
And then, other than the gold star that you get to walk around town with, knowing that you're helping people, are there other perks for people to sign up and volunteer?
There are. So if you're in a study, you're getting a physical exam. There's some labs that are sometimes done. Of course, it depends on the study you're doing.
Sure.
For some, like oncologic studies, you may have access to certain drugs that you normally wouldn't have access to. So, subjects do get compensated for time and travel. You're asking someone to take time out of their day, so they do get compensated for that.
And there is the ability for someone to have transportation to and from the facility.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's really important that people realize that without being in a clinical trial, you really may not be able to get some of the medicines that are at the cutting edge of your particular disease.
Sure.
You know, so when you sign up, you can say, well, you know, I have a cancer, and that cancer drug is not available to anyone except the people that are in that study. And so that's why, you know, we want people to really know about this, because it's important to their longevity as well as to their health.
Right. So what studies are you currently involved in?
We're doing several flu treatment studies, and it's for adults, and it's the whole age range. So one of them actually involves an herbal. The other one is a more conventional type of medicine, and there's a big flu epidemic going on right now, and we really need some flu patients. So if somebody gets the flu, before they do anything else, if they would call us, and we'll take care of them. Absolutely. We can do the diagnosis, you know, if they have fever and achy, and give us a call. I think we're going to present that number a little later on. Give us a call, and we can use them. So that's one study. We're also doing a congestive heart failure study, which is very interesting. We're doing an osteoarthritis of the knee study. We're doing a bunch of pediatric studies, which Dr. Hebert is a pediatrician. So, we've got a whole, in fact, most of the studies we're doing are on our website. So.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, doctors. We appreciate your time. And you can visit MedPharmics' website at medpharmics.com. And of course, there's much more to come after the break, so stick with us.